Hello Facebook ads people, I'm Konstantinos and today I'm going to discuss with you why I don't like to scale with the 20% rule and of course with the help of ChatGPT we're going to do some math that are proving my point. So for all the people that are watching my podcast, this is something that we have covered there. Of course I would like to make a video about it because the podcast is the podcast and the videos are the videos. Basically, the concept is this. I was thinking the other day that I'm just explaining why I don't like to scale with the 20% and what is happening is that when you are scaling, then eventually, this is something basically that is coming from my personal experience of doing it and failing and I have found another thing that made more sense, which was working with multiple campaigns. The 20% rule, basically for all of you that you don't know, is that when you have ads, in order for you not to go back to the learning phase, what you need to do is you need to scale daily or every 2-3 days, doesn't matter, not more than 20% of your current budget. So if you're spending 200, you should spend 220 on your scaling, and you should not scale more than that because you are risking of getting out of learning phase with whatever that may mean. This is a concept that a lot of people are using, and they are just scaling with 20% because they want to have just one campaign that they're going to scale and all of that. I don't like that. I believe that with that way you're testing the limits of your creative or your product which is actually working. But I also believe that scaling with different creatives and different campaigns and creatives that they have different angles for the product that you are selling, it's much more powerful. And I have case studies like the USA, UK and the other case studies, 1 year case studies, that I have proven that you can scale while you're maintaining the same ROAS with this thing by just doing more campaigns and just changing the creatives to different aspects, convincing people to buy your product for other uses that maybe they have never thought of. So from personal experience and from common logic, what I thought was that, okay, you're scaling, but eventually you are going to make a mistake on your judgment, or you're going to make a mistake, maybe it's not going to be your fault, it's going to be just a very bad Saturday which is going to ruin your results, or something else is going to happen. And then eventually when this is happening, from personal experience again, when you try to fix this campaign, only 50 or 40% of them are being saved after lowering the budget and you stabilize them. But we're going to make a completely different video explaining what you can do if you overdo it with scaling. Hi guys, I would like to interrupt this video in order to talk to you about my new mentorship programs, and I would love if you go to the website. You're going to find the link in the description, or you can find it in the menu of my website, and over there you're going to be able to see the different mentorship programs that I have. You can find the one that is going to fit better your needs, and I will hope to see you there. Just having all of your eggs in one basket, it's too risky for me. So, and I have seen it also on difficult periods, that it was better to just have several campaigns that I was able to control the budgets or close one and replace another, instead of having just one campaign that I'm just scaling with the 20% all of the time, and eventually when something happens, then the whole campaign is going to collapse and you have to start all over again. And because from my perspective, I like to work with clients for a very long period on stable ad accounts. I don't like to do it if you're a drop shipper, for example, and you just want to test the limits of a product and just scale as much as you can. Yes, the 20% can be used. I'm not saying that it's not working. I'm saying that it's more risky, and I'm saying that eventually you are just going to make a mistake. So when I was explaining this to people, they did understand it, but then I said, okay, what if I try to make a more visual example? And of course ChatGPT comes in where we can ask questions and stuff, and I just started playing, and the concept was the same as and it's coming also from games, that when you are doing something a lot of times consecutively, eventually the possibility of you making a mistake, it's actually bigger. For example, if you are throwing a dice from 1 to 6 and you throw once 6 and then you throw a second time 6, the third time you don't have the same possibilities of actually throwing 6, based on the fact that for 2 consecutive times you have thrown 6. If we throw the dice endless times, the possibility is that it's always going to be 1 out of 6 chances of getting 6. Okay, but when you add inside the factor of consecutive happening one after the other, then the possibilities are becoming less and less and less as you are rolling 6 with more consecutive times. So I would like to take you into my PC we're going to work a little bit with ChatGPT to just do some math and some probabilities. This is also an example which is a little bit more of a content instead of super accurate, okay, because we're not taking into consideration several other variables. But I think that it's going to serve its purpose of explaining why it is too risky and maybe unblock the way of thinking that you have about working with one campaign and why working with several campaigns it's actually important. So the other day I was thinking how I can prove it. So I came to my friend ChatGPT and I said, hello, how can I assist you? So I want to solve a statistical problem. Sure, I'd be happy to help with that. What specific statistical problem are you looking to solve? Please provide as many details as possible. So I say, let's say that I do have a scenario where I'm about to be 90% correct on an action and 10% wrong. What I want is to calculate after how many consecutive times of being correct 10% of the times, the 10% actually is going to become a 90% probability of doing wrong. What is the point of that? Basically, what I'm trying to say here is this. Let's say that I'm a very good advertiser, okay? I'm not going to talk if you are good with your decisions or bad, but let's say that you're a very good advertiser, okay? So we're covering the skill possibility over here. Let's say that you're a very experienced advertiser, and whenever you're doing a scaling over here, you are 90% correct because you are very good. Even if you are very good, at some point you are going to make a mistake because it's inevitable when you're being consistently correct. Eventually, statistically, we are going to be wrong once. And the fun fact over here is that you don't have to be wrong necessarily, but maybe it's going to be a bad move because it was, a bad period. It was a very bad Saturday or something else. So what I'm trying to find out is after how many times that I am correct, the person that is very good and it's 90% of the times correct, how many times does it need for this to happen consecutively? In order for the 90% being correct, it's going to be 90% being wrong. There is an actual possibility to that. And then it says, to calculate after how many consecutive times of being correct, the probability of being wrong, 10% to become 90%, we can use the concept of geometric probability distribution. I'm just going to let you read this because I'm not going to read it. And then it says, the number of consecutive correct actions required for the probability of being wrong to become 90% is approximately 22. Therefore, after being correct 22 consecutive times, the probability of doing wrong the next time will be about 90%. Now, what I want to clarify here is this. I do know that, for example, when you scale with the 20% rule, if you scale from 10 to 12, basically what is happening is that you are having 100% possibility of being correct. The same thing though is happening on the bigger budgets, okay? When you're scaling from 2K to 2,400 with the 20% rule, that means that you have lower possibility of being correct because it's bigger budgets. I'm telling you, it's not a perfect example, but I'm trying to prove a point here, so bear with me. So yes, in the smaller scalings, you're going to always be correct because from 10 to 12, it's not going to make any difference. And on the bigger ones, you are having a higher risk. Actually, I have seen campaigns scaling up to 10K with the 20%. But then the collapse is, it's inevitable, it's going to happen and it's going to be a huge collapse and then you're not going to be able to recover it to 10K. Now, when is the right time to stop? Nobody knows, okay? But all of humans are greedy, or Facebook is a problematic platform with a lot of bad periods and stuff. So a mistake is always going to happen, either from human greediness, or it's going to happen because Meta is going to have a bad period, or they do a change, or whatever that may be, or they have a shutdown like the ones that we have seen during the spring of 2024. So the concept is this, and I know that it has flaws, but let's continue. So then we say, if I increase a $20 by 20% each day, what will be the budget in 22 days? Okay, so basically I'm trying to understand if I do that, which by the way, some people say about the 20% rule that you can increase it every 2-3 days after you see how it goes and stuff. We have videos about the 20% that I showed you how they were scaling and it was bad. But I have also personal experiences with the 20% rule that it worked pretty well. But I'm not going to make a video about them because I don't believe in the 20%. I'm just saying that it's not something that it doesn't work necessarily. Basically, it falls under the category of what I'm saying, that everything can actually work on Meta. It's just up to you to find your own blueprint of what is working. For example, I had one ad account which was doing raffles, and on the last 3 days I wasn't even scaling with 20% rule. I was scaling with 3, 4, 5 times more the budget of a campaign, going from 5k to 15k on an advanced plus and stuff, because over there on the last days people are buying more and more. So it's up to you to just adapt to whatever makes sense, and of course to whatever you have tested and if it's working. So if we come here, we increase by 20, so the budget, what is going to be after 22 days, because I'm trying to see also if all of these risks until you make a mistake makes sense. So most people start their budget from maybe on 20. There are few that they start with 50, but most of the times it's 20. And then it says after increasing 20%, $20 by 20% this day, the budget will be approximately 1,100. You're doing all of this and all of this risk, and let me tell you that before the 90% being wrong, you had possibilities of 70, 80, 60% of being wrong. So most probably you wouldn't, statistically, you wouldn't reach the 22 days. Let's ask it.
Eventually.
Okay. Day 23, we have 8.86, so we're just losing one person per day, obviously, here. Yeah. I like that, actually. Yeah. So 9 people, 8, 7, and 6 people on day 26, but on day 26, the people that they have scaled, actually, it's going to scale significantly to 2 almost 3k, which proves the point, you know, if you think of it, out of the 100 people, only 6 people are going to survive this, which is also dependent on how good the product is, how good their creatives is, if they have engagement and all of that. Which is also another flaw on this way of thinking, because we're not calculating all of these things inside. But statistically, not all of you are going to have a good product or a good offer and stuff. So this actually explains it well. And as we keep by, eventually, you know, this is deemed to fail. You know, eventually there's going to be 0 people that they can scale more, because the probability of doing a mistake is going to be higher and higher and higher. Okay, so sometimes when you see 20% scalings and stuff in very good ad accounts and stuff, just know that this is just a very small percentage. On the other hand, people that are just having a lot of different campaigns and all of that, I can tell you by watching ad accounts that there are much many people that they are being able to scale like this, comparing to this, which is just an one side scaling on one campaign, that if something goes wrong, there's nothing that you can do in order to control it. But sometimes you lower the budget and it works, but most of the times it's just a full collapse and you have to start all over again. That's all, guys. I hope that you liked this video. We played a little bit with ChatGPT. You can also play on your own. You can go to ChatGPT and just do these scenarios and stuff. Let me know if you find anything interesting. And I hope that it's going to, you know, make you think a little bit more about it, and I will see you for the closing of the video. Again, it is needless to say that this is just an example to explain a way of thinking of how I like to think within the Ads Manager, and it doesn't mean that it's 100% accurate or correct. For example, one of my friends, Joshua, who is a mathematician, he told me that the first thing that they are being taught when they go to university for the math is that each single roll of the dice is an individual event and it has nothing to do with the others. You know, it's not common logic, but it's what maths are actually saying. So I'm not saying that this example is perfect. I'm just saying that this example is going to trigger some of you to think in the correct way. Anyway, don't forget that if you want to learn more, you can check my book, my course, my website, and my mentorship programs, of course. And below my mentorship programs, you can check all the reviews that I have from people already being part of the Chosen 5 and the other programs. And until we meet again, guys, be creative and be consistent.